Go
La
look.
la 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 la. Do you want to have a spooky paranormal discussion with us? Come join us. Warning, this show is for entertainment purposes only. The views and opinions expressed are theories, folklore, historical, fantastical, and speculation, and not to be taken as pure fact. Viewer discretion is advised. Melanie Lightbeam and the Shamrock Pixie join forces together to bring you paranormal, strange, unusual, scary, spooky, or just overall unbelievable stories and discussions. Viewer discretion is advised. This is an open talk show discussing all things paranormal. We encourage audience participation. So sit back, grab some popcorn, share out to your friends. Together, we can explore the paranormal. Don't forget, subscribe to everyone, hit that like button, share out, or for super chats as a thank you. Have fun and enjoy. Welcome to the show. Enjoy the show.
Hello, good evening, everyone. I have to say, I'm looking at Des. I am totally jealous. Look at that gorgeous. That is not a green screen background, everyone.
Nope, it's not. Although, if I fall off the bench, sorry.
She is out in gorgeous, like camping with the. It's absolutely gorgeous. I'm jealous. The only thing I'm not jealous is I would get eaten alive if I was out there.
That's why I'm in the screen house. I have my citronella going, and we have some sticks down here. Oh, that I gotta relight. And then I have my lights. So not colored lights this time, but I do have some lights in here. So when it starts to the sun is going down,
it's gonna look so pretty as the sun goes down, and she's gonna have her little lights up. And
well, and it's funny because Jaslyn, she was with a friend at the park, and they said they could see the screen house completely lit up in the dark. The park literally is just right there.
That's cool.
So right across the street here.
That's a blessing. You've got that campsite. Yep. That's going to be fun for the entire summer. I just hope the weather holds out for you and it stays. Because okay.
We've had some crazy weather, and we actually had to, when we first got here on the 15th. We had the screen house up, and then we got some really wicked winds. So we actually had, it was making the screen house be all weird. And so we had to take it down for a couple days. But then when we came back, we ended up going home, and we came back, and they ended up putting it up. And so they just did it to where both the doors, so there's a door here, and then there's a door in front of me. And I don't even know if we have an external camera. If we had an external camera, I could show you.
Mommy's in the house, and she says,
"Hey,
I wish I was camping." Chew says, "Hey, Shamrock," and he's waving hello as he comes by. Hey, Chew, welcome to the show. Yeah, I wish we were camping.
And the thing is so where our fire pit is, where you can see all the chairs. When you sit in those chairs and you look out this way, you can see the lake.
Oh, that's gorgeous.
Yep. And so,
I said I was going to tease at one point. I'm going to say, Des, there's somebody behind you. No.
Yeah, you and Tommy got something worked out. I know you do, because I had to go and fix
there'll be well, this is Myths and Legends, so there'll be the hook man coming. He's coming to get you, Des.
Right? Oh, that would be funny. But we've had, it gets really dark here, and our site, because I need the shade, our site has a lot of shade. And so, we have our cooking station here. We have a pop-up. We're part of the pop-up nation. At least I think that's what Tommy calls it. I don't know. I want a hard side camper. He wants to keep the pop-up. So to each their own. But we have the fire pit, and then he parks his boat over on this side. I mean, our site is pretty big. So we are in Wisconsin.
I'll say Jason Voorhees is in the lake and he's coming to get you.
Well, the thing is Tommy loves what is that? That Crystal Lake one. Is that
Yeah,
who?
Jason Voorhees. Yeah.
Yeah. So Tommy likes him. He wanted to stand out on Highway 13 and with the mask to scare people, but somebody beat him to it, and yeah, it wasn't good. It didn't end up in good. So Tommy's like, yeah, I'm good.
But have you ever noticed that camping always brings out all the scary stories and the creepy stories? I mean, like I said, you have Jason Voorhees, you have all those camping, which they usually do the campy type slasher films
Yeah.
from the 80s. And it's like, and then there's always a story like people are going to disappear in the woods because they're going to get lost or something like that. So, I mean, I'm not trying to scare you, but I'm like, you're in the hot seat of where urban legends.
Yeah, I don't get scared like that because I know those are movies. Although those movies scare me, but I know they're not real. We can talk paranormal and ghost stuff all day long, talk about demons all day long, but don't give me a scary movie because I won't watch it. It makes my heart race. I'm like, nope, I'm good. Tommy loves scary movies. The kids love scary movies, not me. He's like, well, you watch all that paranormal stuff. And I'm like, yeah, that's a little different.
Well, if I may, I want to do a little bit of shameless self-promotion just for one moment.
Go right ahead.
Just as a nice little segue, being you mentioned about that. I'm going to be doing a horror podcast. It's something new and different that I'm going to be doing. It's not necessarily this involving open talk. What it's actually going to be is it's going to be pre-recorded scary stories. And I'm learning a little bit more about production value. So it's going to be like, I want to say it's going to be a notch up because it is going to be with sound effects, with background music, with the whole eerie things. It's similar to if anybody knows what creepypasta is. So
I've heard it. I just not real familiar with it. I don't do good with scary.
Well, that's what I'm going to be doing. So I invented a character, and I'm just going to share my page because bear in mind, I just started this 2 days ago. And my character
start somewhere.
Got to start somewhere. So I'm just going to post it in the chat. My character is called Malfortuna, which means bad fortune. Kind of interesting.
Malfortuna.
Yeah, Fortuna. Yes, Malfortuna. And the whole idea behind Malfortuna is she's teaming up with Maledictus, which means bad cursed. So it's bad fortune, bad curse. They're teaming up together, and we're going to be doing horror podcasts, and it's going to be creepy and spooky, and you know what? The beauty of it is I get to learn like a different level of how to do production things that I've never done before.
There you go. I mean,
I've never
learn sometime.
Yeah, never learned how to do anything. Never learned how to do. So I mean, we even have like this big. I don't even know what to say. This is how like amateur I am. He's got the big production board with the sound where you turn the knobs to get the right sound quality, and you're looking at the up and down things. And I'm staring at it. I'm like, what am I supposed to do with this? I'm the type that says just hit record and then just upload. Like, no, I can't do that.
Well, you know, so I spelled that right. So I'm watching people in chat.
Hello, Bud Files. Welcome to the show. Tommy Bargain Effect. He's out.
Honey. He's out on the lake.
He's out on the lake fishing. I just realized I didn't. You might not have thought what that. He's reeling in fish. That's what he's doing. I'm not trying to do anything.
Not bicycling on the lake.
I'm sorry. I realized maybe that wasn't going to be good. And who else came in?
I think Tommy should pop in quick and show the lake.
Yeah,
before we get started.
If he wants to, he still has the link, or maybe not. I don't know. But
yeah, I ended up having to send it to his Facebook because my Facebook, I'd have to do all this other stuff, and yeah, I just was like, I'm just gonna send it to Tommy's, so I can get in here.
What would help me, guys? And I mean, like I said, it's just a little thing. It's just simply like the page. The page. Once a day, I'm going to post like a horror creepy fact, and then eventually we're going to get into it. In fact, we're starting Next week we're actually going to start recording, and it's going to be really, really interesting. So I think it's going to. Oh, his signal's spotty. That's okay,
Oh
but
yeah.
we know that you're on the lake and you're having a good time. So I would really appreciate that. But yes, Malfortuna is the fortune teller mystic. We'll see what happens. I don't know. Either that, or I'm gonna have like this scary little girl and like la 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 la. I might do a
I
whole bunch of.
have gone and I have saved it and added to my favorites.
Thank you. I appreciate it. It, like I said, I just started it, but I'm gonna try building it up, and we'll see how it goes. But anyway, okay.
I think it'll take off because I mean, it might be a little slow at first, but I think it'll take off because people love spooky.
Yeah, they do. And so. I want to delve into the really scary, and of course it'll bleach into this show as well because all the research and everything is like, oh, I got a topic to share with you. But tonight we are going to be doing part 2 to urban legends. Now, we started this last week, and last week Des was reading each and every one of the 50 states. We only got to M, so I think we're going to start with Massachusetts.
I don't remember exactly where we left off, and because we've been going back and forth with the camping and home, I forgot to look.
But that's okay, because what we'll also do is I'm going to introduce some other urban legends as well. So let me get.
Do you have that link?
Yes, I got the link. Let me share it. I'm going to share it in the chat. So if anybody, where did my chat go? Hold on. I'm sharing it in the chat. So if anybody wants to follow along with us, it's a great. It's from Reader's Digest. It shows a list of scary urban legends state by state. And what I'll do is let's pull this up. And we're going to read it together, and we'll have some fun, and we'll talk about it if there's anything that maybe, if you know about this legend, if you have anything to add about it, if you have a personal urban legend that you would like to talk about, we would love to hear it. I mean, this is an open show. We don't want this just to be nothing more than us reading websites, but I want to show you some highlights of it. And we were up to Massachusetts, which means we're like at the halfway mark of the 50 nifty states. 50 nifty United States. Yeah. So that's so if anybody wants, I highlighted the link up there. That's what we're looking right now, Reader's Digest. So the next story that we are talking about is Massachusetts, the ghost of Sheriff George Corwin. Now, I think that's funny because could you imagine a ghost that is a sheriff or a police officer that's coming and tormenting everyone? I mean, that's like a nightmare. But anyway, this particular one.
Wait, hold on. The sheriff thing, we actually have something like that here in Wisconsin. Between Bondwell and Cecil.
Okay.
There's a road. There's a back road that you can take to go from Bondwell to Cecil. Okay. And I used to travel it all the time because at the time my best friend lived in Cecil. I lived in Bondwell. Well, one night I was coming home, and now I had heard these stories and I didn't believe them till it happened to me. But I was coming home from Cecil and I saw the red and blues. I'm like, shoot, I'm getting pulled over. I go to pull over and they disappeared.
Completely?
The blue light, the red and blues completely disappeared. And I called my friend Laura up, and I'm like, my best friend at the time, I was like, Laura, you're not going to believe what happened. And she's like, what? And I'm like, I thought I was getting pulled over, and then it disappeared. Like, there was no vehicles behind me, but I saw the red and blues. I thought I was in trouble for something. She's like, oh, no. She's like, and that's when it was interesting. She had heard the stories. I heard the stories. I didn't believe them. And when it happened to me, I was like, shoot.
I'll admit, if I start seeing like lights behind me flashing, I panic thinking it's me. I get very panicky if like, cops are around or stuff like that. And I'm like, oh no, I'm not going fast. I'm slowing down. And always whenever I see like a cop in the distance, I don't press on my brake, but I immediately let go of the gas and just ride it out and be like, please don't let me, I'm not going fast.
Right. Well, see, and this is something cool about Wisconsin. Wisconsin actually is a very high, very, very, very high paranormal area. It's just something about with the Native American tribes. There's a bunch of different ones that kind of connect, and for some reason, Wisconsin there's a lot of high, and I can't remember off the top of my head, um, but it's like really high for paranormal experiences, and so living in Wisconsin, let me tell you, there's some stories.
Well, this particular one takes place in Massachusetts in the Salem trials. So the story goes that Sheriff Corwin was the most infamous and brutal when it came to interrogating and handling accused witches, earning him the nickname the Strangler for his torturous methods. A building called the Joshua Ward House now stands on top of the land where Corwin lived and died, and many say that they've seen him in the windows or even felt his hands pressing around their necks when they're inside the space. So he is an evil sheriff who strangles people. And I mean, that must be terrifying that he's like, the strangler, I'm coming to sure.
You know, I'd be telling him, let's do this. Let's go and do some rounds here, buckaroo.
In Michigan, we have the Nine Rouge. This is one of the urban legends still recognized today, celebrating by the people of Detroit every year. They say that there's this devilish creature known as the Nine Rouge, French for Red Dwarf, who causes mayhem in the city. He's thought to be seen when disaster is about to strike, and even said to be the reason for the Cadillac Company's downfall in the city. Which Michigan... Oh, go ahead.
I was going to say that kind of reminds me of the Mothman, which we'll be talking about next week.
Next week.
Yeah.
That's one of the things they said. I have to rewatch that movie, The Mothman Prophecies, which I have the link to so I can see it without a problem. I'm like, at some point this week, we're going to watch it.
Yeah, that movie was trippy. So if you haven't seen it, make sure you watch it before next Thursday so we can talk about it.
Yeah, let me write that in the chat. Next week's topic is Mothman. Recommended to watch Mothman Prophecies. And that's with Richard Gere, right?
Yes.
Yeah, okay. All right, so next we have the Wendigo. Now, this one is a pretty famous one in Minnesota. The Wendigo is a creature of Native American folklore. It is thought to be the result of cannibalism. A person will turn into the Wendigo, a fang-bearing creature that is tall, skeletal, and hairy, if they resort to eating another human being. Will you fall prey to the glowing snake eyes, or is it just another urban legend? Now, they say Minnesota is... I've heard that legend in so many places. Not just right. Minnesota.
Now,
hello, Pages, Films, and Plastics. Welcome to the show.
Hello. Now, I was under the understanding that the Wendigo was a scorned lover from back in the early 17 or 1800s. Now, this is the one I've heard. And the Wendigo actually, the only way you could turn into a Wendigo is if you were scratched by him. That's one what I've heard about Wendigos.
Now, we spoke about this last week where we were talking about the difference between myths and legends, and we were saying how a lot of these do have factual based real life events, and it's almost as if these urban legends start evolving from an actual story, and it's almost like a game of telephone. By the time it gets to different areas, they change the little bit of information to it and add to it, take away from it, so it ends up being like completely different stories. So it's funny how, because I've heard, I'm saying Wendigo, so I've heard the Wendigo so many times, but I didn't realize that it was only in like Minnesota's, that's the top one there.
Yeah, and it's funny because Minnesota is actually not that far from here where we're at. So I think we're like maybe an hour and a half from, not even, from the border from Wisconsin to Minnesota. And so like when we go to the steak buffet place, the bridge is right there to go into Minnesota.
Oh, so you're right there.
Yeah. I mean, we are really close. And my aunt lived in Minnesota. She took care of a hermit that lived there. He was very rich, very, very rich. But she took care of him, and we used to spend summers there. And with my aunt, I don't remember the story so much, but I was also young, and we really didn't like hang out with a whole lot of people that lived there.
Okay, so what do we have next? Next, we have Mississippi, the Witch of Yazoo. So while living on the Yazoo River, an old woman allegedly lured boatsmen to their deaths with her magic. Oh, we got to watch out for Tommy. One day, the local sheriff chased her into the swamp and she drowned in the quicksand. She put a curse upon the town. In 20 years, she said she would return to the city aflame. Eerily, in 1904, the city was hit with a massive fire believed to be the work of the witch. And then the next day, when people visited her grave in Glenwood Cemetery, they saw that the chain links around her grave had been broken, or so the legend goes. And that's what it is. A lot of times, you can't tell whether this stuff actually happened or not.
So let's talk about this for a minute.
Let's hear it.
Okay, so a fire broke out.
Mm-hmm.
Chains are metal. Metal melts. For me, logically, I would think that the fire would have melted the chains, unless the fire never was near there. So they're not really specific.
Well, here's the thing. This I'm going to say just as an aside. And I think I mentioned this in another show, but I'll mention it again. If you want to read up history, very interesting happened between 1820 to 1920. I'm going to say 1820 to 1900 because history is very, very strange that 100 years, particularly since every major city in the United States between 1820 and 1920 has burnt down.
Chicago one.
Every city, every major city in the entire United States has burnt down. Oh, we have a guest. Here, wait. Let me remove this for a minute. Let's bring the guest on. We got a fish.
We got a fish. Oh, nice.
What kind of fish is that?
His name.
Hello, Chris.
He's a bass. He's a large bass.
Oh, they're breaking up. Tommy and Des are fishing right on the lake as we speak.
No, and Jaslyn.
I said, what did I say? Tommy. Oh, I said Tommy and Des. I'm sorry. Tommy and Jaslyn are fishing on the lake. Des is off at the campsite doing the show.
Yeah, they dropped signal.
They dropped the signal, so it's hard.
Hello, Christina.
But guys, it was beautiful fish. Congratulations. Please tell me you're keeping it. Fish. Please tell me you're keeping that and having that for dinner tomorrow.
No, they usually do catch and release.
They do catch and oh my! I would have. Well, actually, I don't know what the size rules are in if that's a keeper or not. I don't know what the rules are. Hello, Christina. Welcome to the show. Yes, that's what I love when people catch fishing. That's a good thing. So congratulations, you two.
That's the second one in 2 days. So he caught one last night too. I think that one was actually bigger than last night.
Reel in the fish. So, so yes, if you want to look up a very, very interesting anomaly, it's that every single major city between 1820 and 1920 has burnt down in the United States. And you can extrapolate a whole bunch of things. I mean, right off the bat, skeptics would say, oh, well, of course it is because they didn't have fire prevention methods that were good. They didn't have modern technology to reduce fires. I mean, okay, yeah, that's valid. But then there's also, if you want to walk across the rabbit hole where they're saying, are they possibly burning down cities in order to rewrite history? That would make a lot of sense. So,
well, and in the 1800s too, from 1820 to 1920, if you think about it, sanitation wasn't looked at like it is looked at now. So you had a lot of flames, or not flames, but like fumes from like human feces and urine and stuff like that. So that probably contributed as well. So I mean, they just didn't have the lewd that we have now, the cultists that we have now. They had a lot of outhouses. How's that?
Well,
Without the house.
we eventually have to have this topic. I say eventually. We're not going to do it now, but eventually we need to talk about what the conspiracy is around the 1800s and why they're rewriting history, if that's what they're doing. But we're not going to talk about that. But if anybody wants to go down a deep rabbit hole, look up the World's Fair, look up the fires between the 1800s, and look up Tartarian Empire. And I'll leave it at that.
Oh,
in fact,
yeah, the World's Fair.
I will write that in the chat. So this is a bonus lookup, and we're not going to talk it now. So Tartarian Empire, World's Fair, and then fires in the 1800s, 18 to 1900s.
Have we discussed with our chat about talking maybe about serial killers?
Oh, I would love to have that topic.
I think we should intertwine that with this too, because there's some paranormal stuff that's intertwined with serial killers. However, when you said the World's Fair, that made me think of a serial killer. I would love to do that one.
Can I just say something funny? This is just sort of the irony. And Des and I, when we do these shows, we don't talk to each other. We literally just do this spontaneous. But as of yesterday, remember I was talking about Malfortuna? She posted a very interesting comment in her post. So I'm going to post it on the thing. And that is... No, Malfortuna.
Oh. I was like, wait, what? I got confused.
No, Malfortuna posted a spooky fact of the day. Yesterday's spooky fact of the day is there are multiple serial killers inside our country. According to the FBI, there are between 35 to 50 active serial killers in the U.S. at this time.
At this time?
At this time, between 35 to 50 active killers at this time that are alive.
Crazy.
And so what that means is there is a very good chance that you possibly come in contact with a serial killer and you never know it. And if you ever look into serial killers, people never do know it because they are so good with their facade, with their
charisma. Yes. So we're going to have to touch base on that, and that might be a couple week series.
Write that down for July. Serial killers.
All right. So July. Let me look at the calendar.
You did 11. We also need to go back to Sirens. So after the 11th, the next one would be Sirens, so that's the 17th. So then whatever it is, what are we on? August 1st?
So we
I don't have the calendar.
11th, the 18th. So the 18th we'll do Sirens.
Yes. And then whatever it is after that.
Mermaids. I'm just writing this stuff down so we don't forget. And then July.
And she's good with that because I don't have any pencil and paper right here.
No, what the heck happened here? No, I need.
But I'm
on the laptop, so I'm not used to this.
Well, if not, we can discuss it, but that's a good one for...
I'm just going to go to my phone. It's so much better. Okay, May.
Now we're going to skip over to Missouri. The Landers Theater. The Landers Theater in Springfield, Missouri is supposedly beyond haunted. From fires to stabbings to accidental deaths, this theater has seen it all and has many urban legends. Locals and performers have alleged that they've seen ghosts to the people who have perished there, including the janitor who had died in the 1920 fire. Now, once again, a fire. There's lots of fires. In fact, no offense, we could do an entire show on nothing but fires that has happened throughout the United States. Every major city in the United States has burnt down between 1820 and 1920. It's a fact. That's not a conspiracy theory. It is a fact, and I mean, it's a scary fact. and it wonders why, what has happened. So next we have Montana, the haunting of Chico Hot Springs Hotel. The mysterious Lady in White. Now, Lady in White, we've known, has been in many different scenarios. She supposedly roams the corridor of the Chico Hot Springs Hotel in Prey, scaring guests and staff members. People have reportedly
Still
seen
here.
yes, people have seen the ghost of the woman in white many times, landing into the room 349, only to find an empty rocking chair that's always swaying back and forth. Ooh, that's scary. Her rocking chair is sometimes found in other rooms as well, always facing out the window, no matter the position the last person has left it in. Okay, so that would creep me out. I mean, hello, Spirit Junkie. Welcome to the show.
Hey.
Oh, what happened? You lost your camera, or no? That's okay. I hope you feel better. Des, you look great.
Thank you. Yes.
She's saying you're looking much better.
Thank you. Thank you. I have the camera off at the moment, but I'm still here.
That's fine. Okay, just making sure. Spirit, you said your iPad is not working, but you're allowed on the phone. You're on the phone. That's fine, as long as you can see us and hear us. Welcome to the show. We're doing part 2 of Urban Legends.
Yes, and we just discussed that we're going to do a couple part series coming up at the end of July on serial killers and paranormal.
Yes. That's going to be fun. I like that one. That's going to be spooky. And like I said, that's going to be right up Mal Fortuna's alley.
Right. So I have July 25th to August 15th. So it's like a 4-part series for that one.
This is totally going to tie in together completely.
Mm-hmm. Yes, for sure. I'm excited, honestly. I can't wait. So we're where?
Okay.
In Nebraska?
We are in Nebraska. The urban legend of the Hatchet House of Portal reminds us of those scary ghost stories that we used to tell each other at camp. The legend goes a school teacher from long ago went insane and decapitated all her students in one-room schoolhouse. Afterwards, she placed their heads on their respective desks and took their hearts out to a nearby bridge, throwing the organs into the water. People say that you can still hear the hearts beating if you cross it, hence the nickname Heartbeat Bridge.
Okay, I would try that.
That is creepy. What days are you guys off?
July 4th.
Oh, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yep, unless something else comes up in between. As of right now, just July 4th, we're going to take off for the holiday, the 4th of July.
Yeah, we'll be here every Thursday, same time, same place. Just unless something happens, and if something does happen, we'll just take that show and
we'll just shift all the dates.
Yeah. We'll shift it to probably end or whatever. We'll figure it out. We don't want to miss any more shows. That's what it is.
No, we've had a lot of things going on, and it's just been crazy. And I'll be going back to the mental health on Tuesdays. I'm just not sure exactly when yet. Just because we've been so busy on Tuesdays and Wednesdays. So we have a timeout at the moment. Yeah. So we might pop in here and there on a Tuesday or maybe some other day during the week, but Tuesdays and Wednesdays have been pretty busy for us. So
yeah, and it's been back and forth. I've been having problems, and she's been camping and everything like that. So it's like we didn't get a chance to do Tuesday's show, but we're sticking with the Thursday shows for now. But I really do want to get back to the mental health as well. So look how beautiful it is. Like I said, I'm completely jealous that you're there.
And it's not a green screen. I swear it's not a green screen.
She's actually there. Okay, this one we can absolutely do an entire show on, the famous Area 51. No question about that. Nevada, the aliens are at Area 51.
Now, I'm going to write that on our list of topics
Area 51.
So that we have it.
Now, when it comes to Area 51, I'm not going to get into it, but I almost wonder if they devised Area 51 to distract you from where the real place is that they have the aliens.
Well, so now keep in mind, Area 51, when it got stormed a couple years ago, people actually stormed Area 51. They actually ended up moving the facility.
I
The
didn't hear that.
Area 51, from what I understand, and now that's the things that I've read, doesn't necessarily mean that it was true what I was reading, but for the most part, I'm pretty positive. But there was a big thing where people stormed Area 51, and this was a few years ago, and they ended up moving the facility. Like, the facility's there, but everything that was in the facility, I guess, moved. So, oh, Spirit Junkie says, I'm totally jealous too. And it's still dropping down in lower temperatures at night. But let me tell you, it's peaceful out here. Let me tell you.
It's gorgeous. I mean, we could even listen. I mean, as you can hear, I hear through with the birds and everything.
Yep, we actually have one of those little soot things for the birds. Mm-hmm. And I have this little itty bitty baby woodpecker that comes down from the tree and he eats it. And then 2 days ago, I had a blue jay that was eating it and dropping stuff off on the ground for the little other birds. Yeah.
Aww, so
yeah, this whole area, Midwest, it's still dropping down, but it's getting warmer. So I'm happy about that.
Oh, so Spirit Junkie says she's in Michigan too.
Yep.
This week.
Yep.
And yeah, Area 51, that area's been locked up for 40 years. There is so much. I mean, like I said, we could devote an entire show to Area 51.
We can also talk about, if you think, I don't know, Utah. We haven't gotten to Utah yet, but the, oh no, I can't think of the name of it. The ranch.
I don't want to say what ranch I'm thinking of.
No, that's Nevada. I know exactly possibly which one you're talking about. No, that's in Nevada. It's the Paranormal Ranch in Utah, and I can't think of what it is. Let me get back to you.
Next,
on that one.
No problem. Next, we have New Hampshire. The legend, and hopefully I'm pronouncing this right, of Chocorua. So Mount Chocorua was named after a Native American chief who lived in the early 1700s. Legend has it that he left his son with the Campbell family while he went on tribal business. While under the family's care, the son died, perhaps accidentally, perhaps not. To exact revenge, Chief Chocorua killed the white man's wife and children. Then the surviving Campbell chased Chocorua to the top of the mountain, shot him dead, but not before the chief had placed a terrible curse upon the land. It is said the land, known as the Chocorua Lake Conservancy, will inflict suffering and death upon anyone who tries to live there or drink from its rivers. Now, see, that's interesting, drinking from the rivers, because I feel like a lot of areas where there's water have so many paranormal activity, ghost stories, urban legends, which makes me wonder, is there something in the water when people are exposed to...
Okay, so water in the Wiccan / pagan, from what I've been told and what I understand, water is a very good conductor for spirits and stuff.
Absolutely. Mm-hmm.
So is sandstone, lime rock, and there's one granite.
And I mean, even quartz has its own energy. If you take two quartz crystals and you rub them together in the dark, you'll actually see them glow. It's amazing. It creates like sparks. So
I'm gonna have to try that now, because I've never heard that one, but I want to try that now. I got a lot of those.
Just be careful, because it's going to scrape the it'll cause the scraping. So if you don't want to scratch your crystals, but like I said, if you start rubbing them in the dark really, really hard, you will see the energy, the light, and that's the whole idea of why the pyramids used to be made of quartz, why there's a lot of conducting, which goes back to the three things that I say: look into the fires, look into the World's Fair, look into Tartarian Empire.
Yes, Spirit Junkie. Skinwalker Ranch. I did write that on our.
Oh, is that what it is? Skinwalker
Mhm.
Ranch. In fact, that's the Skinwalkers are that's an urban legend myth in itself.
Yeah, it's a Native American thing, and um, I personally believe in them. So you have to be careful when you say that term.
Oh.
Yeah. So we'll talk about that when I've watched a lot of stuff on that on the Skinwalker Ranch.
I know.
And
And as it gets darker, I can't say there's someone behind you, Des.
Tommy's probably gonna show up behind me and scare the crud out of me.
Probably. He'll start scratching on the scratch.
Well, he has to bring the boat and the truck back, so we'll hear that or see that.
Yeah.
But yeah, he's sassy that way. So
Next one, we've got Jersey. New Jersey's in the house. Let's see what Jersey says. Jersey says, the ghost of the boy of Clinton Road. The ghost of a young boy is said to reside beneath the bridges of this road in Passaic County, north New Jersey. According to legend, he's quite helpful, not to mention he's honest. If you drop a coin in the water, he'll return it to you within 24 hours. It has become a rite of passage for local teens to go out and test it.
oh, I'd like to talk to some of the teens that have done that.
That's a nice thing. You throw a coin in and he'll bring it back to you.
Well, that's just like and it's not an urban legend, at least as far as I know, or a myth. But I know that, and I'll have to look into this. Once I do, we'll talk about maybe doing a live on it. But a bus was in some students were in a bus and they were hit by a train. Oh, and yep, and they passed away. But there's a certain spot, and I'll look into it because I think it's a very awesome thing. It reminds me of this, where if your car ends up stalling out on the railroad tracks, they'll push your vehicle to safety. And when you get out, you literally, I've seen where they literally have, there's like little handprints of children on the back of the vehicle. Yep.
Oh, that's creepy.
Where they pushed.
But that's a good, because I've seen so many accidents involving cars and trains, and it's not a good thing. All right, so question of the night. No shadows passing you? Actually, today there hasn't been any, unless I've missed it. But I think today
today.
There's good energy today. Good juju, I guess. We still can't figure out what it was that passed. And if anybody didn't see that video during the show, was it last week or the week before? It was the week before. During the show,
yeah, it was during one of the mental health ones.
Oh, mental health. That's what it was. During the mental health. And so that was 2 weeks ago. While I was talking like this, it appeared a big black thing came right across the screen like this. Now, that's the weird thing is because I'm sitting here, my thing is right here. We don't know what it was. And it was in the image, it looked like a cat. Like it looked like the outline with the cat tail wagging its tail. And that's what makes it really weird because, okay, all my cats are in the other room. My cats were not out here. So we don't know what that black entity or black spirit was that passed in front of the camera.
Yeah, but you've also had at your own home where there was a guy that walked behind you in a hoodie and black shorts, and there was nothing there.
Yeah, I've had a couple of creepy stories of things, but Spirit Junkie says many books such as Poe, Edgar Allan Poe, and Stephen King are variations of these lores. And I think, you know what I think? I think when it comes to horror, a lot of horror writers will take ideas from urban legends, take ideas from, and
Stephen King, though, his books are based on things that he's experienced in his life. He just has amplified it and twisted the darkness into it. I love Stephen King.
I shouldn't wish ill will, but he is getting up there in age, and a lot of his newer books are written by his son as opposed to like in collaboration with his son. But he's going to be an author that when his time, it's going to be devastating because
it is.
His works are just brilliant. I mean, you can't go wrong, even if you've never read it. everybody's seen a Stephen King movie.
And did you guys know also that every Stephen King book that has been turned into a movie, he has made a guest appearance in that movie?
Yes.
Rose Red is one of my favorites of his for his movies and stuff. I tried to read the book, but I like the movie better. However, my all-time favorite Stephen King book that he has written is called Rose Matter. And that book, I'm waiting for them to turn into a movie. There are talks about it being turned into a movie. I've read that book, listened to the book on DVD or CD numerous times. But that is my all-time favorite Stephen King book. However, it did not get the recognition that it should have. At least at the time it was released. Yeah.
I think a lot of his stuff, because he has some obscure stuff. And I mean, Stephen King didn't only write horror. He was also the one behind Shawshank Redemption, The Green Mile. I mean, that was Stephen King. And I mean, Shawshank Redemption is one of the top 10 movies of all time. I mean, there are so many people when they say, what is your favorite movie? Shawshank Redemption is one of the amongst the top. That was a Stephen King movie. So
some people, yeah,
wait,
some
I missed
people
that.
do
What'd you say? Well, that's what I'm saying. It's still Stephen King. Yeah, it's his short story because he did The Green Mile and he did Shawshank Redemption.
Yeah, and those were short stories. However, with Stephen King, he one of the stipulations that he has for when somebody wants to turn one of his books into a movie is that he makes a guest appearance.
Yes.
And so in Rose Red, Julia Sands actually was a character in that movie, and he passed away just recently.
I haven't
seen 411.
I haven't seen I'll be honest, I haven't seen Rose Red. So, and you mentioned Julian Sands. I love Julian Sands as an actor, which you're right. His story on how he disappeared, he was one of the missing 411s.
Right. But at the same time, like I just watched a video that was released where somebody was breaking down his disappearance. And I would have to say that I kind of agree with what this gentleman said. I would not put it as a missing 411 completely. The only thing that kind of intertwines with it becoming a missing 411, which we have talked about in the past, was the fact that there was another gentleman that disappeared around the same time.
Yeah.
That wasn't far from there.
Well,
and that's usually what happens.
I will say this, and this is another, if anybody likes to do their own research and homework, Hollywood, which they call Holly Weird, there are so many conspiracy theories surrounding Hollywood. I mean, the whole thing. I mean, and they go in so many different directions. And generally speaking, if a famous person passes away and it's under unusual circumstances, there usually is a major reason as to why. And I personally believe that the Julian Sands story, that there was, I don't think it was just an accident. I don't think, but I mean,
he was an experienced climber.
Yeah.
Like he climbed mountains that most people who climb would cringe. And the thing is with this mountain that Mount Baldy that he disappeared on, he had climbed it over 100 some times before he disappeared this last time.
Yeah.
He knew that mountain in and out. He knew everything, pretty much everything that had to do with this mountain. He knew the weather. He knew everything. So for him to be found the way he was found months later, I believe that something else happened. I don't think it was an accident at all. But that's my personal opinion. So
Now, Spirit Junkie, this is going back to what we were talking about with me. Some people attract things. I totally agree with that. And I
Yes.
mean, I almost want to say that maybe I don't want to wish ill will, but maybe I slipped into some bad karma lately because weird things have been happening to me. So I'm trying to get out of the and shake it off. But yeah, Des literally when I was at my house, I'm sitting here, we're talking in the back room just like this, and she swears she want to know who's with you. Like cuz she saw somebody with a hoodie wearing shorts walk right past behind me.
Yep.
And I'm like, Des, there's nobody. Now I didn't see it because it was behind me, but she said she saw it in the camera. And honestly, I believe her. I don't think she's crazy because no offense, I've seen weird stuff happen in various areas. I've seen weird stuff in the location I'm here. I've seen weird stuff at home. So it's like, and I don't want to end what makes it knowing that I'm not the only one who's seen weird stuff. Other people have seen weird stuff too. So,
Yep. Yes, for sure. And the thing is with seeing that, and I didn't get like a bad vibe or anything. To me, it reminded me of a teenager. I thought
yeah.
she had a teenager staying with her, because how they always like, okay, so my daughter's 16. She likes to wear her shorts, but she always wears a hoodie with her hood up. And that's exactly what it looked like, but taller. I mean, it looked like a teenager, probably 18, 19, I think I said. Yeah. And that's why I was like, do you have somebody
Yes,
with you? Like,
that is the location she saw that I'm a house that's on church property right
Yep.
next to a church. So the answer is yes. And where I am now, which every now and then I see some weird stuff too, there's some weird
It's the
stuff in
school behind you.
there's a creepy ass abandoned school directly behind. I mean, we're attached like to the property of this creepy ass school that is
And the
closed
thing
down.
is with the school, they left everything
Mm-hmm.
behind. They left everything right when they got up and left. That's where everything
Yeah.
stayed.
I mean, just imagine literally closing a school down and then not removing anything. Like
Yep.
the chairs are still there, the furniture is still there, the air conditions are still in the window. I mean, I was almost tempted to say, can we just go take an air conditioner?
Yeah, but you said that when people step on that part of the property,
Oh, yeah.
a vehicle shows up like
Yes.
immediately.
And that's what's weird is if you go near that school, like it's the school is in the middle. If you go near that school, yeah. So it's creepy. I feel weird vibes from that school. So something, we leave the school alone.
I want to check out the school, but I want to talk to the person in the truck that shows up. So I'd step next to that school for him to show up. That's just me, though.
So some people attract things, but I also wonder, not only is it attraction, is it like energetically you end up within the areas of, like, you know what I mean? It's like, I don't know.
Well, for people who are open to the spiritual realm, if spirits can tell if you are open to it or not. And so if you are open or you're able to communicate to them or you can see them or you can talk to them, they're more prone to make an appearance than somebody who is closed off to it. Now, I've talked about I believe I've talked about my grandfather's house with the cowboy and the terrazzo floor with the cowboy boots.
Mm-hmm.
So my aunt, I was just talking to my daughter about this earlier because she was, my aunt's an artist. She plays guitar. She's a phenomenal artist with art and stuff like that. And she has never seen the cowboy man. And she's lived in the house since she was young. Okay. My grandfather's seen him. I've seen him. My mom's seen him. The house is haunted. My aunt, on the other hand, has never seen or experienced anything because she says that she asked God to take that away from her because she didn't want to see anything.
Wow.
Yep. So she has never experienced anything in that house as far as I have been told by her. But the rest of the family has. My grandmother has. My grandmother was in the house in 1969. She woke up from sleeping on the couch to a mother, father, and a child playing Ring Around the Rosie in the middle of the living room. She got up, she left, and was never back to that house since.
Wow.
Yes, she vibrates
a
Yep.
different frequency. Now,
Yep.
I know we're supposed to be talking about urban legends, but we're on a little good stream. I want to mention something, and this is something that you guys could read up in your own research if you want to do it, or it could be a time that we could talk about this. There is a product called diacyanine dye. Okay, and what happens is, and that's a new one for you.
Yeah. Never heard that term before. I couldn't even pronounce it.
I couldn't pronounce it either. Diacyanine dyed. Okay. What happens is back in the early 1900s, they would have these goggles that they would put the blue dye, and I'll put it in the chat. They would
Yeah,
put the
because
blue
I
dye
don't
over
know
the
how to spell
goggles,
that.
and it was said that it could look into ghost spirits, another dimension. It could see things that. Now the interesting thing is blue. And we could do a whole history because the color blue is one of the most interesting colors of all the color spectrums. Because back in the way back when, there was no such thing as the color blue. Color blue is only something recently that we're actually seeing that wavelength. So it's a fairly new color. It's interesting if you read up the history on the color blue. And I think it also has to do with when they talk about energy, free energy. Blue, they cannot penetrate. So, like for example, if they do a laser beam across different color spectrums, a laser beam cannot go through the color blue.
And that's why Hawaii, the blue houses stood. When the
I
rest
know.
of them,
Okay, so you know where I was leading to, but I'm not going there. But the reason I'm bringing this up in this fashion is talking about frequencies and people who are open to see things. So now
Mhm.
this particular thing is an actual dye. I wonder, are there people that have something within their genetic makeup that they're able to see things compared to other people? And I'm wondering,
like
is it,
gene wise,
yeah,
or
like gene
yeah,
wise?
because I know like there are families that pass on gifts down the line.
Mhm. And I'm not comparing the two. I'm not saying that there's diacene dye in your genes. I'm not. I'm just
Right,
talking about two separate things. So what I'm
right.
saying is there something within your genes that get passed down that makes you more attuned to the frequencies of the supernatural, the unknown, the ghost, like people who have the gift, as you say?
Hmm.
Is it something within your own makeup? Yes, people are starting to paint. In fact, this is another thing. People are starting to paint their ceilings blue, particularly if you look up South Korea, China, Japan. They're all going crazy painting their houses blue
Yeah.
because laser beams cannot penetrate the color blue.
And if we have an alien invasion, they'll be good.
And just to tie this into weirder, because like I said, a lot of these theories are not just one small theory and you run with it. They are tied into every single conspiracy theory. So
Right.
if you want to tie this into something even weirder, the Vatican 2 days ago, couple of days ago, just released and you're going to see this all over. Well, you're not going to see it, but if you follow Vatican news, they just released a public release on how to look at apparitions and supernatural, particularly when it comes to the Virgin Mary and when it comes to demons. So they gave a public how-to
The
guide.
Vatican did?
Yes.
You'll have to send me that.
Okay, I'll send you that information. It's very, very
Yeah.
interesting. And it was a public release that they're talking about supernatural entities because they're teaching people how to differentiate between something that's supernatural, something that's not, involving the Virgin Mary, involving demons. And this also ties into, because remember, everything ties into each other. It's one after the other. This ties into the new syndrome that's happening. And this is an actual syndrome called demon face syndrome. And what's happening is right now, people are reporting that they're seeing people's faces contort and manipulate into demons. So they're calling it demon face syndrome. It's when you Google it is going to say it's rare. When you go to other sites and other things,
Now,
they're going to talk it in more details.
okay, so have you ever seen the show? What is it? Thomas.
And I'm just going to put this in the chat if anybody wants to do their own research.
Odd. It's called Odd Thomas.
I've never seen that show. No.
Okay, so in there, it's something kind of like that. It's actually a show. And then there was one that I just started watching. So I don't know. I can't remember the name of it, but I have it saved on my stuff. Where it's like that as well.
I've never seen On Thomas, so I will look that up if it's something.
Yeah, it wasn't like a big thing. I watched it. I thought it was a series, but it was actually a movie, and it was interesting. It was very interesting. But if you guys are into that kind of thing, watch it. It's called Odd Thomas.
Okay, homework. Watch.
And I can't remember where it's streaming. You can stream it, or you can get it from I'm sure the library.
And that's a series or a movie?
It's a movie.
Hey, that's one of the reasons I love shows like this is because we can exchange information. It's like, oh, watch this, watch that, learn about this, learn about that. And me, I'll go and I'll research and do more stuff and have fun with it. And then I get more information, and then there's a bigger rabbit hole that I end up going down, and it's all confusing.
Right? Did we want to get back to the urban legends?
I know. I'm pulling it up right now. Hey, sometimes when we have these little segues, it's a good thing. Sometimes it's not. I know I talk too much. Okay, New Mexico. Roswell. This ties into Area 51 as well, but the famous UFO crash at Roswell, New Mexico. There is so much information on this. We could do an entire show on nothing but Roswell and aliens and UFOs. I mean,
I love that kind of stuff. So Bigfoot and aliens are the two things that like I really like gravitate to. I love those, and I'm just writing this down so I don't forget and talking at the same time, and that's not working for me, so I apologize.
No problem. Okay, what do we got? We've got New York. Now here's the funny thing.
Did we go through the New Mexico?
No, I didn't read it. It's just we know about Roswell. In 1947, something big, really big, crashed into the Northwest Ranch of Roswell. Members of the U.S. quickly came to retrieve the debris, which led to some to believe that it was a cover-up for a UFO. Adding to the mystery, Jesse Marshall Jr., one of the military officers charged with clearing the site, later describes the debris he saw his father bring home as being made of lead foil with I-beams. According to the UFO Museum, he recalled the writing that I-beams as purple, strange, never saw anything like it. Different geometric shapes, leaves, and circles. The U.S. government maintains it was a weather balloon that crashed. That urban legend tells a different story. And there's like, when he talks about it, if you read up, he says it was almost as if it's this tinfoil that he just like crumbles up into a ball. But then when you let it go, it flattens out completely and it's completely durable. You couldn't burn it, you couldn't destroy it, you couldn't cut it, but yet it's as thin as tinfoil, it's pliable as foil, but then it had the strength and it just popped right back. And that was during the interview that he did it.
And that's crazy. It's there's so much on that. Every time something happens, the government, and I probably should be good, but the government calls it a weather balloon. Let me tell you, there ain't that many weather balloons that y'all are releasing. We're not losing our minds completely here yet.
Well, if you really want to go down another rabbit hole, just look up the whole theory about weather balloons and satellites. that do your own homework. Weather balloons and satellites, because it gets interesting. Now, I'm from New York. I will admit I have never heard of this urban legend.
Are you
And it's from-
serious?
I am serious.
Okay, so this I have heard of.
You've heard of
Okay.
this.
I have heard of this. I've actually watched a documentary on it.
Now, I know Cropsey because there's Cropsey streets, but I've never heard of the legend of Cropsey.
Yeah,
Staten
it
Island's
was proven to be a true thing that happened. But the legend of it turned out to be something completely different. What actually was going on was completely different than what this urban legend is. But this is what people referred to during that time.
Now, the story goes that Cropsey had a hook for a hand. He was a patient at Willowbrook State School. He would come out late at night to hunt and chase kids with his hook in hand. In truth, a series of child murders did take place in the area of Staten Island in the 70s and 80s. And now we need to look at these. Oh, that's all right. So I know the story of the man with the hook. I never knew that it was Cropsey and from Staten Island. Like that never. I mean, Staten Island.
It was somebody who was released from the mental institution, the asylum, and he lived in the woods, and he was taking children. And if you look up the documentary for this, it's crazy listening to it and mind blown for sure.
Next, we have North Carolina, the Beast of Bladdenboro. In North Carolina, the Beast of Bladdenboro, described by locals as a panther-like, bloodthirsty killer lurking in the darkness. It's said to have attacked numerous dogs and even people. I've never heard of that one. I mean, there's really not that much information on it, but that's North Carolina. I guess what
we have the Beast of Briar Road in Wisconsin.
Okay,
which
what's the story
I
of
think
that?
is not that far from here. We Discovery Plus, Josh Gates and his team actually were out here on that road investigating it. And it's like a shapeshifter wolf, half werewolf is what the legend is. And people have seen it. There's a guy that has a farm that's attached to he lives on that road. He has a farm, and he has seen some really crazy crap on that road.
Now, Spirit Junkie made an absolute awesome point. We have awesome prosthetics now. I know a couple of people with hooks when I was little. Back then, that's what it was. They didn't have actual hands. They had the two little pronged hooks, and I guess that's where you get all the
hook man
stories. The hooks, yeah. And I mean, I remember telling Des last week about the book series Scary Stories to Tell in the Dark when I was a kid. And there was that hook story as well, where we get caught on the car as someone drove away and they would find
get ripped off. Yeah.
Yes. And it's like those stories are out there. And I think what makes it even stranger and more scarier is the fact that there is somebody with the amputated hand and it's a hook.
And pirates had hooks for hands.
Pirates, yes. Captain Hook.
Yep. Although, let me tell you, once upon a time, that show, Hook, was hot as hell.
Yeah.
That is not the traditional Hook.
I am probably going to butcher this name, but North Dakota, the Mini Washitu. Mini Washitu?
It's probably how you pronounce it, because I'm looking at it. So I'm following along on my phone since I'm on the laptop. And that, to me, that's how I would probably pronounce it.
That's how, or it could be like Washitu, or I'm going to say Washitu. Mini Washitu. Next time you're at the banks of the Missouri River in North Dakota, keep an eye out for the Mini Washitu in North Dakota, a giant red hairy monster with sharp spikes along the back, a horn, and only one eye. If you look at it, blindness, insanity, and even death are soon to follow. So on second thought, don't keep an eye out for it. So don't look at the demon. Don't look at it.
Cyclops. That's what it reminds me of, Cyclops.
Now, here's an interesting thing just that it mentioned in here. The Missouri River. Okay, this to me, I am going to swear on this because it's one of those things. It's a Mandela effect because when I was taught in school all my life, the Mississippi is the biggest river in the United States. That's what I was taught.
Yeah. It goes
No,
from
it's
the
not.
top to the bottom.
No, Missouri is the biggest river in the United States. You can look it up. Missouri is the biggest river. But I've been taught, and Mississippi has always been, because it was one of those things that you had songs about it. You had to learn how to spell Mississippi because it was like Mississippi. You had all these songs because you focused on the Mississippi. Why are we focusing on the Mississippi River if Missouri River is the longest river?
That's not the song I was taught how to spell Mississippi.
Oh, what were you taught?
M-I, crooked letter, I, crooked letter, I, hunchback, I.
What?
Crooked letter. That was how it was. Yeah, that's
Cougar letter and hunchback eye?
hunchback I.
Wait.
Hunchback I. Yep.
Okay, wait. I gotta put this in. So I'm probably spelling it wrong. Cougar letter.
Yep. M-I, crooked letter, I, crooked letter, I, hunchback, I.
Okay, I'm just writing this in because that's something I need to save. Cougar letter and hunchback.
I don't know why. Okay, so I just looked it up. It says the Mississippi River is the largest river in the United States by drainage area, covering 1.2 million square miles across 31 states, or about 1/8 of North America. It flows from Minnesota through 10 states before emptying into the Gulf of Mexico. The Mississippi River system.
So you're saying you looked it up and saying that. Okay, wait a minute. What is the longest river in the U.S.? If you type in what is the longest river in the U.S., Missouri comes up, and you're saying Mississippi comes up.
Yep.
Okay, so I'm Googling one thing, she's Googling another, and this is why you get miscommunication. So two of us are both Googling the same thing. What is the longest river in the U.S.? She's getting Mississippi, and I'm getting Missouri. And it's going to anger the hell out of me because my whole life it's been Mississippi. However, when I Google it, it's telling me Missouri.
Yep. And I changed the word because how I had it looked it up. What is the biggest river in the United States? It said Mississippi. Now I changed biggest to longest and it says Missouri.
Okay. And that's what is just, I'm going to take that. That is another one. Okay, Des is saying volume of landmass covered. All right, so that's what it is. One of them was long, and the other one was volume. Okay, so I've always been told Mississippi is the one, but now, like I said, I'm going to say this, and I shouldn't say this. Do research on the new Doomsday map. Okay. I'm going to put it in. Doomsday map of the United States. They actually created a doomsday map that says when Antarctica melts down, the ice caps melt down, there's going to be a doomsday map. And it's interesting what happens to the Mississippi River versus the Missouri River on that doomsday map. So go ahead.
Okay, so I actually went to images for the map. To see the Missouri River and stuff like that. So Missouri goes from Red Rock. So here is the actual map.
Okay, wait, let me get you bigger. Okay, so
and Mississippi, it joins the Mississippi River.
But even looking at that, yeah, it does look like that Missouri is longer than Mississippi.
Yep,
based on that map. But
right,
the two of them converge.
The Mississippi River. So to me, that doesn't make sense if the Missouri River is connecting to the Mississippi River. That's
Hello, Susanna. Welcome to the show, Susanna.
Hello. So so this map is kind of trippy to me. It's definitely not. Yeah, it's definitely not making sense. Oops. And the sense that we would think. But we were taught in school.
this is one of those things, the Mandela effects that they talk about, and that's one of them is the Mississippi versus Missouri River, because we were taught something completely different when we were younger. And that's one of the things. It was always the focus of Mississippi being the biggest. And now they're saying it's not.
Yeah, exactly.
But if you look at the Doomsday map, and like I said, that's a very interesting map. And that's coming into play particularly now with the whole anomalies that are coming out of Bouvet Island. If anybody wants to read up on that, that's here. I'll put that in. Here, look up Bouvet Island. There's always a mysterious island. Epstein has his island. Bouvet Island is another island to look up. But there's a lot of anomalies coming out that right now they are shutting down the tidal wave program because of all the anomalies. But what's interesting is those anomalies that are happening from Bouvet Island are tying into the weather. And if anybody knows, currently the weather right now is the worst it's ever been. They are saying that this is going to be the worst hurricane storms ever. Right. And already, we're already in May. We haven't even gotten to summer yet.
Right.
Texas, yeah.
I was going to say Texas has been slammed.
I'm going to say this. Texas, every day we are getting a tornado warning. Uh-oh. What does it say about me? Hold on. Let me read this. I think you didn't pay attention in school. You did at least have to go to get by. Is that possible? I did. Okay, so Spirit, wait a minute. You were taught that
I'm
the
still
Missouri...
here. I just got to turn the camera off.
That's fine. I'm just curious, Spirit. You were taught Missouri was the longest river? I just want to know, because I also think that it's a demographic thing, depending on where you went to school. I really do.
That's what I'm thinking too, because I was taught the Mississippi was the longest river, and I was a nerd. Just saying. I was a nerd, and I loved school.
And I will say this. I didn't pay attention in school. I really didn't, because I was the type that I could ace the test without a problem. Didn't even have to pay attention. Didn't even have to focus. Whatever. So, yes, that's Susanna says Mississippi is right. And that's what I'm saying. There is a large population that has always been taught that the Mississippi River is the longest. But right now, it's not.
Yeah, and Spirit Junkie is right. Yes, but landmass covered. Right, but that's not how they taught it. They said that the Mississippi River was the longest river in the United States. So that would be the biggest, the longest. The Mississippi is what divides the East and the West. And I mean, Mississippi is like a big deal, especially, you know, people who live close to it. So,
and to me, Missouri isn't even on my radar. Like, Missouri River doesn't even exist in my world. Not that I'm saying it, but I never heard anything about the Missouri River.
Well, Spirit Junkie said, I'm probably 15 years older than you. Now, Tommy is 9 years older than me. And when he was in school was different than even when I was in school. And we're only 9 years apart. And so there are things that he was taught that I was never taught.
Yeah.
And we're both in Wisconsin. You know, so things change, and the criteria for schools change all the time.
In fact, my mother just wrote Mississippi was the largest river. There's an interesting thing, and I'm going to put you on the spot, Mom, for a minute. Sorry. In math, when you're subtracting, and you know how you have to do the borrowing from one side to another, my mother was taught a completely different style of how to subtract numbers when it comes to borrowing compared to how I was. And when she showed me her method, it confused the hell out of me. And I'm like, that's the way you were taught? And I think now kids are being taught the Common Core method, or they're being taught the box method where you did lines.
Right. And that I believe that's the Common Core. Actually, they're actually removing, from what I was reading in our school districts here in Wisconsin, they're actually removing Common Core.
Yeah. I want you know what way I want to learn? I want to learn the way that they're taught overseas where literally they could take any number and you see them do this and then they can answer it instantly. So whatever they're doing in their head, they do it with their fingers. It's almost as if they're doing an abacus, but they're
Yeah.
doing it with their fingers, and they're able to multiply these extravagant numbers instantly without a problem. And all you see them, and you'll see the kids, they do, and then they give the answer instantly. I want to learn that way.
See, Joey, when he was younger, Joey used to be able to do math in his head. And then they introduced that Common Core crap. And because he didn't show his work on the paper, they marked it wrong. And because they did that, he started hating math. And I think that was the worst thing they could have ever done, because not everybody learns, especially in school, not everybody learns the same way.
Yeah.
And he was able to do math in his head, and he would get the right answer. And then they switched to the Common Core and everything was wrong. And so he just got really mad and just hated math after that.
Geology was probably a bigger deal in Michigan. We have lots of farmers back then.
We have a lot of farmers in Wisconsin too. So yeah, I mean, Wisconsin, Michigan, I'm not sure about Illinois. But I know both Wisconsin and Michigan have a lot of farmers. Wisconsin used to be the place where a happy cow was from Wisconsin, not California.
And math is definitely taught differently. I just give that example because, like I said, things are taught so differently in school. And you could call it the Mandela effect, or you could just call it mass confusion. I mean, we should do a show strictly on Mandela effects. I think that would be fascinating. But it's
Sounds
like...
good. I think I do have that on the list.
That would be great. But
now, see,
just the clusters of people having memories completely different from each other. And
right,
that's what makes it... Mm-hmm.
Spirit Junkie says math is definitely taught differently. Now, in Florida, you didn't learn your multiplication tables until you were in high school.
What?
They didn't teach, when I was in school in Florida, they didn't teach us math or multiplication. We adding, subtracting, dividing. We didn't learn that until, from what I'm understanding, because I was in elementary school in Florida. We didn't learn our multiplication tables. When I moved to Wisconsin, I was in 4th grade going into 5th. So it was like half the school year. They had learned their multiplication. I didn't know my multiplication because that's not what they taught us down there. So that, I mean, I completely agree. Math is definitely taught differently. But looking back, multiplication was a big one for me. And it took me forever. And I still have a hard time with multiplication because of switching from Florida to Wisconsin.
Spirit brings up 2 points. Very good one. School books are largely controlled by religious conservatives from Texas. I grew up in New York, so most of my schooling was from New York. But yes, religion does have a play on how things are taught. And it's not just Texas, it's anywhere. But you said that maybe rather the word is controlled. Absolutely. Religion does influence. And I think one of the most interesting things you could do is if you're ever at an old bookstore or like an old thrift store, pick up the books from like the 1920s, 30s, 40s, school books. And you find them every now and then. And like I sold, I'll tell you, I had a math school book that I ended up selling on eBay. And what ended up happening is when you opened up the book, even though it was a United States book, in it had all German references to the Nazi Party. And the math questions were talking about the Nazi parties in like a positive way. And of course I sold it. It was but this book was from like 1930s. It was an amazing book. And it just shows how cultural changes, how things change. And it even is, if you ever find encyclopedias, and this I'm just throwing out for resells. If you ever find encyclopedias, you want to find them from 1958 and before.
Right.
And the reason I say that is in 1958, that was the last time that they talked about in the encyclopedia that the earth is actually flat with a dome over it. So before then, the encyclopedias talked about Antarctica having a firmament over the Earth.
That's funny. My son used to, for fun,
Mm-hmm.
my son loved to read encyclopedias and dictionaries when he
Mm-hmm.
was little.
And when you see the difference, even for people who are religious, just look at old Bibles. I mean,
Yeah.
I love comparisons of old Bibles. I mean, I even have in my collection at home some really old Bibles. And many times when I'm looking up a specific scripture, I will compare it to the different versions because you're going to see how things have changed, whether it's the wording, whether it's definitions. Very, very interesting. So wait, we got a couple of
Speaking of, real quick before we touch base on your mom's math problem there that I got really
yeah.
confused with. I tried to read it. I got really confused. So today, for school for Jaslyn, because we homeschool, we
Right.
actually made her read the Declaration of Independence.
I have a question. Was she able to read it in the cursive, or you had her read it
It
regular,
was,
like typed out?
I'm not sure. I don't know exactly. Tommy and her,
Oh,
she pulled it up, but she read it. And she actually asked us, she's like, this is kind of hard to read. Why? Why are they talking this way? I'm like, because that's proper English.
mm-hmm.
Now we use slang, what we would classify slang, lazy language. But back then, it was proper English. So she was actually having a hard time reading it the way they had it written. So I
And
thought that was pretty interesting.
and the fact is, nowadays they do not teach cursive, and that's one of the reasons with the whole conspiracy is they're trying to change history. Because if you have a society that cannot read cursive, then they won't know what's in the documents of the past, which will
Right.
make it easier to change.
And
Because
we've taught Jaslyn cursive and how to read it. She we both the kids, we've taught that because we felt that because the schools had pulled it out of they pulled it out of their curriculum. We were like, no, they need to learn because I write in cursive. Tommy writes in cursive. We both print, but most of the time we write in cursive and the kids need to be able to read it. So we have tried to teach them how to read cursive. Did you know now, because they're pulling out the Common Core, they're actually talking about, if they haven't already done it this past school year, bringing cursive back.
they should. They absolutely should. And for
Yep.
one of them, they need to bring back reading the Declaration of Independence, the Bill of Rights, and the
Yep.
amendments, because they stopped teaching that as well. They brush through it there, but they don't teach it because if people don't know what their rights actually are,
Yep.
then they will not be defensive when you try to take them away.
Right, and that's why we had her do it, because today's lesson had to do with the 4th of July, because that's the next big holiday coming up. And she really didn't know what the 4th of July was. So we made her look it up and she read it to us. And that's where the Declaration of Independence came in, because there was that word that came up in what she was looking up for the 4th of July, and she didn't know what it was. So we had her pull that up and she read it to us out loud. And so now she knows. So I think it's very important that everybody should do it.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Absolutely. Something that's interesting, and I this is a little history thing, but a little thing that most people don't know. If anybody has a $2 bill, if you look at the back of it, a $2 bill, $2 bill.
Okay.
If you look at the back of it, it's them signing the Declaration of Independence. It's a drawing of, it's them depicting.
Right.
What's interesting about that is carefully look at the faces of everybody within the $2 bill, and smack in the middle, there is actually a Black person. And that makes it very, very interesting in regards to our history of what they're saying now compared to what was back then, because yes, there were Black people that signed the Declaration of Independence.
No.
So just a little interesting thing. I'm throwing that out there. Like I said, read. Now, Spirit Jug. Okay, so this is one of the examples of what I was talking about when I was saying the way she was taught math is completely different. We both come to the same answer. The answer is 1. But how I would do it is I don't bring the 1 and add it as a 10. I bring it to the 2. So
I wish Tommy was here because his dad taught him a way to do math. And I think it's the same, if not very similar to that. Yeah. And Tommy ended up teaching Joseph that after the whole shebang thing with the Common Core, because Joey just, like I said, gave up with math. And Tommy taught him the way that his dad taught him math. And I don't know if he's still watching or not, but he'd have to let me know for sure if that's the same way his dad taught him, or
okay. So wait a minute, Spirit, I think, is the same way. I was taught take 10 from the 2, which that's what she said. Take 10. Okay, so both Spirit and my mother are the same answer, that you both got to the same thing. Whereas what I was taught is you're going to change the 2 to a 1, make the 0 a 10. So 10 minus 9 equals 1. And because you took the from the 2 now becomes a 1. So 1 minus 1 equals 0. That's how I was taught.
I got to go back up to your mom's math problem.
Yeah.
20 minus 19 equals 1. That's how I look at it. There's one left after taking 18 away.
We're so good that you could do it in your head. But if you had to show your work on how you did that, the proper way, well, I shouldn't say the proper way, but one of the ways to show your work.
Yeah.
That's all right. So, but that makes sense, Spirit, because you're a little older than me. So both you and my mom, possibly same age. I don't know how old you are, Spirit, but I'm going to assume possibly around the same age. So you both were taught the same way. You were taught to take it from the 1, where I was taught to take it from the 2. And it just makes it a little interesting. So
I couldn't tell you how I was taught. I just looked at it and I was like, that's 1. That's all that's left is 1.
Spirit, you also make a good point. I am personally having a hard time reading the older cursive. I used to be able to. It's like a muscle memory thing. Right now, everything is, what do they call it? Oh, God. What is non-cursive called? Non-cursive? There's a word for it.
Print.
Thank you. Couldn't come with the word. Like, what is non-cursive? Right now, everything is in print and even digital. So because we don't see cursive on a regular basis, it's like muscle memory. And I know when I look at, I want to call it like Gothic style writing. I don't know what the proper term is, but you know those Gothic styles back in the church with all the squiggles and stuff like that? I can't read that. Like, there are times I'm looking at that letter and I'm like, okay, is that supposed to be a J or a G, or is that supposed to be an S or a... So...
You know, and the thing is, okay, so like for me having difficulties reading cursive, it's because I'm going blind. Everything blurs for me. And so, like, I have a smartwatch. Okay. Literally, let me take it off so I can show you. Tommy had to help me pick that because I couldn't read any of the other ones. Like, so he had to do that for me because I couldn't read them and it was so small. So I gotta go and get glasses. So eventually you guys will see me in glasses because I'm going blind. And
well, that's another thing. Kids nowadays do not know how to read an analog clock. The ones with the numbers 1, 2, 3, 4, like around in the circle. They don't know how to read that because everything's digital now.
Our kids do. We taught them old school.
or how about this? And I'm guilty of this too. Roman numerals. They don't teach
Roman numerals. I can get up to 20. People get up higher, but like I said, I was a geek.
I have no problem with Roman numerals, it's when they start going into the double MCCX and it starts being the long ones.
Mm-hmm.
So that's
I think I'm gonna teach Jaslyn that next. No, Roman numeral or Roman numbers, because
I think that's an important thing to learn. I really think they should be teaching Roman numerals in school.
Jaslyn's actually learning. Oh, I can't think of what it's called now.
Oh, and Spirit says she loves your watch.
Thank you. I got it for Christmas, but I might have to
get
a bigger. Might have to get a bigger face so I can see it if the glasses don't help. But I got it for Christmas, and it came with this mesh band, and then it has a rubber band too that I can change it to if I want. But this one has like the little clip. The other one is like the old-fashioned watch where you just go like that and put the little knobby through the hole. And
oh wait, I said it was 10 minutes to 2 and they didn't know what time it was.
Yeah, I struggle with reading those clocks, but that was another thing that I just never really, nobody really worked with me on it. And so, in between the move from Florida to Wisconsin, I was behind because there was things that they had learned here that we hadn't learned in Florida at that time. And I'm sure the schools have changed because now in Florida, it's year-round school, where Wisconsin, you have a summer break, where with Florida, you don't. So a lot of things have changed. So I'm hoping and praying that Florida got their act together.
Yeah.
But
movies had Roman numerals back in the 20th century. So did books.
Yep.
You'll see a lot of early books that the Roman numerals are on there as well. If anybody wants to go down another rabbit hole, I just, like I said, if you enjoy rabbit holes, I'm just putting it here. Look up the missing 1,000 years. I say that. Look up missing 1,000 years. What I'm talking about with that is when you look at old buildings with Roman numerals on it, those Roman numerals are based on years.
Mm-hmm.
But there seems to be some discrepancy with certain buildings when they're saying, okay, this building was built in 1700s, but yet the Roman numerals were 700? And there's like 1,000 years missing?
I wrote it down on our little list. So
yeah. So it's something to look at. Like I said, that's another rabbit hole. We're not going there. You know me. If you want to like research and learn things, here, look this up.
Yes, please do your research, because we are just sharing what we have and what we found, and be it right or wrong, it's things that we have found that we want to share with you. It's your decision or not decision, but it's your what's what I'm looking for. You should really do your research. How's that?
and like I said, for me,
diligence.
And I want to put a disclaimer out there. Just because I say something doesn't necessarily mean I believe in it. What I'm doing is I am the type that I love doing research on what other people think. I really do. I love looking at what other people think. So what I do is I'll introduce different things. Doesn't necessarily mean I believe it. So what was Michigan? We'll go back to that in just 1 second. Let me just see. Most job clocks go by 100 digits, not 60 minutes. That is correct. The time clocks, though, that used to confuse the hell out of me as well. When you
I got to mute for a few.
Okay, no problem.
Backing the boat up. You guys be able to see that live.
Oh, when they take their time clock and you punch it in, it always went on the 100 digits, not the 60. And that to me confused the hell out of me when I had to do the conversion, because I was a manager as well and had to document like their hours and stuff. So, yeah. Okay, what was Michigan law? Back to what we're doing. Michigan, let's go back. I think that was actually last week we did, right? Michigan.
Yes, I do think it was last week. I have it the NAIN Rogue.
Okay, yes. Oh no, we did it this week. It was the devilish creature known as the Nine Rouge, French for Red Dwarf, who would cause mayhem in the city. He thought to be seen when disaster is about to strike, and he's even said to be the reason for the Cadillac Company's downfall. Now,
That made
Des,
me jump.
I just have a quick question. Do we need to wrap this up because he's back,
Nope.
or
Nope,
okay?
you're good.
Okay, so
We were on Ohio now.
Let's go back to Ohio.
Yep.
I'm scrolling. There we go. The Gore Orphanage. In the 1800s, there was once again a deadly fire. Lots of fires at the aptly named Gore Orphanage in Lorain County. Tragically, every single orphan in the institution perished. Locals say that if you visit the site where the orphanage stood, you could still see the ghosts of the dead children and hear them playing or smell their burning flesh. Oh, that is so sad. But like I said, there were so many fires between 1820 and 1920 that every single city in the United States has burned down. Oh, I just realized. I'm sorry. I didn't add that. There we go. Oops. Okay, the Ohio Gore Orphanage. Yeah,
You know, that
he's gonna sneak up on you. He's gonna scare you.
I know, right?
Like, ah!
Sassy.
We're all gonna get a jump scare out of nowhere. It's like, ah!
Well, I got to mute again because he's doing the boat thing here.
We didn't do mermaids, so we are pushing that back to July. So what we're doing is we're continuing with our schedule, and then we're going and we're pushing that into July. I forgot what date exactly in July. Was it the 11th?
July 18th.
18th. Thank you. So we're going to do mermaids and sirens on July 18th.
Yep.
Yeah. So, but good point, Spirit. Thank you. Yeah, we never got a chance to do it again, and we just.
Maybe we should type these up and put them on your announcement thing on your YouTube.
I can do that.
Yeah. So then,
like what's been happening, and so I'll do that as well. All right. Next we have Oklahoma. Okay, so Shaman's Portal. People have allegedly disappeared into thin air, setting foot into these dunes in the Beaver Sands, also known as Oklahoma's Bermuda Triangles. It is believed that a UFO crashed here and opened a door to another world. That is something I would be interested in doing as well, is portals.
Okay, let me write that on the list.
We can talk
Everybody
about
thinks
portals.
you're going to jump scare them.
Boom! Did you guys catch any more fish, or they can't hear me?
Oh, they're coming.
They're coming. How many fish did you catch?
I just caught that. Well, I caught that one and a small sheephead.
But you didn't keep them, you throw them back?
Yeah, that's what we do most of the time.
See, I would say dinner time.
Yeah,
but then again,
fish.
I don't touch fishies. I won't slice them. I don't do that.
Yeah, go over that way a little bit more.
Okay. In Oregon, we've got the Bandage Man of Oregon. The ghost of a man who is supposedly chopped up into bits at a sawmill terrifies Oregon residents because they call him the Bandage Man because his entire body is wrapped up in bloody bandages.
He's a mummy.
Mostly he attacked people who drive through the park in their cars in Cannon Beach. That would be creepy. Like, I sometimes wonder if you ever, like, were just out and about and just somebody comes out of the woodwork, like, covered in blood or anything like that, like, what would you do? Would you be the type that would stop and help them? Would you be the type to just instantly call 911? Would you just drive away and like, I'm not dealing with this stuff? Like, would you help somebody who was in trouble?
Yeah, probably.
Like, okay,
I would think so.
I can admit I did one of the stupidest things, and when I tell the story, people are like, you're an idiot. I was traveling. It was 11. I just got out of work. It was like 11:30 at night, and believe it or not, I was heading to a party with friends. The party started at 8 o'clock, but they knew that I was working. And it's going down this long stretch of road, nobody. And all of a sudden, this woman pops out, waving her hands, help. Now, that's a classic thing that says, don't stop for the woman in the road because somebody's going to come behind you. But it turns out it was her and her child. And they really were stuck. Their car, they had nowhere. They haven't seen. And the weird thing is, this road, nobody travels. So the fact that they're stuck on the side of the road. So I said to them, I'm like, do you need help? And she's like, can you just please take me home? And I'm like, That's crazy. So I'm like, where do you live? And she lived 15 minutes the opposite direction from where I'm going. I'm like, you know something? I'll just take you home. So I'm stupid enough to drive her and her child home. But that was my good deed of the night. It was like 11 o'clock at night. She abandoned her car and I left them. And then I went to the party and partied hard. But I don't know if I would ever do that again because now I hear all the horror stories of like what happens if you stop for people on the road.
Yeah, nowadays I would never do it by myself.
I was by myself in the middle of nowhere.
Yeah, I don't think I would do it now. Not so much because now what they're doing is it's all set up. So most of the time, not all the time, but most of the time. So sometimes you get a little nervous.
That was just stupid. All right, Oregon.
It wasn't stupid. You actually helped somebody that was in need. You just now you have to be more cautious and careful with.
I'm crazy. I did stupid stuff. Pennsylvania Eastern State Penitentiary. The Eastern State Penitentiary is a real place that was shut down due to exceptional cruelty towards inmates. Each cell and chamber has its own set of hauntings and terrible tales. Walking through it is supposed to feel like walking through the pit of hell itself. If you're the type who likes to experience them, you can take a tour. Yeah, for some reason they always have little things that they're trying to sell on these things. Rhode Island has the Fingernail Freddy. Okay, that sounds interesting.
The Nightmare on Elm Street.
Elm Street. This was the inspiration, yes, of Nightmare on Elm Street. In this version, Fingernail Freddy is a wild woodsman with insanely long fingernails who comes out at night and attacks campers with his talons. Be careful of Fingernail Freddy tonight.
Well, see, okay, so we actually were talking about this the other day. Jasmine asked how they came up with Nightmare on Elm Street, and from what I'm understanding, the reason why they picked Elm Street was because every town has an Elm Street.
Absolutely.
And so people could relate to what was going on because they were like, oh, we have that street in our town. Let's stay away from it.
See, never do that again. The husband pop. That's what I was thinking. And even Spirit said, never do those. Not the moms that got killed this year. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I'm you know what I'm afraid that I would be the type that would be one of those tragic stories, like this girl got involved in something and I shouldn't
trying to help and then and I think that's horrible that people actually like take advantage of that situation like that. Yeah. Nowadays people are just crazy.
All right, so we've got the legend of Lavinia Fisher, known as the first female serial killer. Lavinia Fisher was certainly not dainty about her kills. In the 1800s, her and her husband John ran an inn where they had an unfortunate habit of killing off many of their guests. They would poison them, then when the poor person would fall asleep, drown them, drop them down a trapdoor. One victim managed to escape, and the two were found, resulting in their execution. Now people say that the ghost haunts the Charleston Dale where she was executed.
Huh.
South Dakota, Walking Sam. Walking Sam is a notorious figure from the Slender Man video games. Slender Man, an unnatural, tall, skinny, creepy character. Those who cross path are induced to commit suicide. His favorite prey is young teens. Yeah.
We actually have a case in Wisconsin that deals with this. They tried to unalive their friend, so-called friend, because they were pretending to be her friend. It was planned. Actually, one of the girls just had what is that called? Where she was trying to get out.
They parole hearing?
Yeah. And no, they left that poor girl in the woods. But they said it had to do with Slender Man. Yeah,
that Slender Man is dangerous. Absolutely.
Yep.
Skin Tom. In the 1920s, a young man named Tom once took his lady friend to the local lover's lane. He didn't know, but when the woman he was so enamored with was in fact married, her husband found the two of them canoodling in the car, murdered the wife, then skinned Tom alive. Folks say that Tom hangs around Lover's Lane, ready to kill those who dare to commit adultery.
Oh boy.
That was scary because my mom has a story about that. When the bus, what what was it? Is my mom still here? Who was the killer that was going around killing people in Lover's Lane? And it was an actual serial killer in New York. I don't know if it's I can't think of the name of the guy.
Babe, who was the guy that was the serial killer that was going around killing people at Lover's Lane in New York?
It was a famous guy, and I can't even think of it. The name is like right out the window. The one that talked to the dog and stuff. I can't think of his name. Ted Bundy, right?
What's up, baby?
But I guess we got some food on the way.
Oh, we do?
Well,
okay.
If she's up, you're getting food now?
No, not right now. He said it's on its way.
Okay, well, we'll give 10 more minutes. We'll do a couple more real quick because we're almost to the end of the thing, and then we'll start our goodbyes because we have Tennessee, Texas. Texas, you got the Lechuza. Depending on your version of this legend, it's an incredible large owl in either a bruise, which is a witch, familiar, woman by day, bird by night. Her child was killed by a drunk, so she's on the prowl, looking to take revenge on bar patrons. Lechuza. So don't be drinking. Look out for the
Shouldn't be drinking and driving anyway.
Utah has the curse of the Escalante petrified forest. Visitors of the forest are cautioned to leave what they find behind. Legend has anyone who takes so much as a rock or a piece of wood will suffer intense misfortune. Car accidents, broken bones, even job loss are said to be fallen. Yeah, because you know something? I believe that the energy gets trapped in the area. So if you start taking things away, you're bringing that energy with you.
Yeah, that bad juju.
Vermont has the Brattleboro Retreat Tower, built as part of an insane asylum. And it's always back to the insane asylums. Brattleboro Retreat Tower was closed after a number of patients supposedly committed suicide by flinging themselves from the top. The tower remains standing today, and people say if you dare visit, you will see ghosts plunging to their deaths over and over. Oh, that's sad. They're in their own hell loop, constantly repeating.
Yeah.
Oh,
it's
this
one. Yeah. Oh, I just saw something about this.
I love this one. Okay, Virginia, the Bunny Man Bridge. Absolutely love this. As the story goes, in fact, you know something? We're reading the ones from last week because remember we skipped towards the end.
Yeah.
Bunny Man Bridge. In 1904. Patrons from the insane asylum, another insane asylum, moved to prison when the bus crashed on Fairfax Station. The inmates attempted to escape, but only one was successful. He left a trail of dead, skinned, half-eaten rabbits hanging from the bridge that was the scene of the crash. On Halloween night, the very same year, teens hung out of the bridge were attacked by the stroke of midnight and met the same fate as the bunnies. Bunny Man. Maltby's, Washington, 13 Steps to Hell. You'll find a set of 13 steps leading to hell in this underground crypt. Urban legends has that anyone who tries to make this regrettable decision to climb down these steps will be met with a vision of hell so terrifying it will drive them to insanity. Oh, David Berkowitz. That was it. The Son of Sam. I couldn't think of what it was. Forgot. Okay. We always hung out. Yeah, David Berkowitz was the Son of Sam. That's the one. Yeah, she was... Because what was happening back in New York, she fit the description of the victims with like the long hair, brunette hair, that kind of thing. And she would say that when they went to... I'm sorry, I'm giving too much information. I'll shut up. But I just couldn't think of it. But they were on the watch where they wouldn't go out because of the Son of Sam. Okay.
Right. 13 Steps to Hell.
Yeah, I read that one.
Through that one?
Yeah, just read that.
Oh, okay.
Mothman Prophecies. We're talking about this next week. So this is next week's topic, the Mothman. So we won't talk about this now. We're going to skip this because we're going to discuss it next week. Right. Wisconsin, the bloody headstone at Riverside Cemetery. Urban legend tells of a local woman named Kate Blood who has killed her husband and 3 children after she committed suicide. Her headstone at Riverside Cemetery is allegedly dripped with blood every full moon. And
it has been debunked.
It does the jackalope. This is an urban legend. The jackalope, the large bunny creature with the antelope horns.
It's real. I tell you, it's real.
It's real. The jackalope. Oh, come on. That one's fun. And that's it, right? Yeah, that was the last state.
Yeah.
So we completed all 50 states.
Heck yeah.
All right, guys, what we're going to do is we are going to end it here. Just a couple of announcements real quick. Okay, so first off, I highlighted a page up top. I'll put it one more time in the chat. This is Malfortuna. Fortuna. It's my new Facebook page. I'm going to be doing some horror podcasts and stuff like that. That's going to be the her page. If you could just like it, subscribe, say hello. I'm going to post a creepy thing every day. Next week, we're going to be talking about Mothman Prophecies. So if you haven't seen the movie, go check the movie out. The movie will be expanding upon the movie and talking about the legend surrounding it. And of course, it's going to lead to other avenues because it ties into what happened recently with a specific bridge. Shh, I'm not saying anything. But I'm not saying anything. Not saying anything. That's next week.
Right. Okay. So then June 13th, we're going to talk about paranormal equipment.
Cool.
June 20th is Miss Melanie's birthday. And we're going to talk about birthdays and history, and
there are conspiracy theories around birthdays. So we're going to be talking about that. There's some spooky stuff with birthdays. So we're going to have a birthday.
And then we can talk about horoscopes and stuff like that with it. So that'll be fun. June 27th, we'll talk about haunted houses. We're taking off July 4th. So we hope everybody has a great 4th of July. And then we will be back July 11th, where we're going to be doing mythological creatures. July 18th, we're doing sirens / mermaids. And then from June 25th, August 1st, August 8th, and August 15th, we are going to talk about serial killers and paranormal.
Nice.
And then August 22nd, I have here fires, 1820 to 1920.
Everything on fire. That's going to be a long conversation. No.
That might be a couple shows as well.
So what's going to happen is Des is going to have dinner. I'm going to have dinner too because I haven't even prepared anything and it's late. So Des, have a wonderful time in camping. And thank you so much for being here. Everybody, thank you for being here. We appreciate it. Make sure if you haven't hit the thumbs up, hit a comment below in the chat. And we appreciate you being here so much.
For sure. Much love, everybody. Have a wonderful, wonderful weekend. We'll see you next week.
And I'm just going to say this. We did doppelgangers already. Didn't we? Or, yeah, I did doppelgangers.
I don't think we did doppelgangers.
Oh, I think I did doppelgangers. I'm sorry. That was I was going to say, I did that show already.
I'm going to add that to our list because you can always read.
Oh, yeah, redo it. Yeah. Oh, you're getting honked.
I know.
Right, guys, have a great day. Take care. Enjoy.
Bye, everybody.